Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, everybody, this is Alex, and this is the Ramble, and we go until midnight tonight from New York, New York. Ladies and gentlemen, this is tech support calling Steve Kravitz. How are you, Steve? What's your problem today, Steve?
My problem is my computer.
It's not working?
No, it took us a half an hour to get this link going.
Yeah, for some reason his we couldn't get his audio on Zoom. And he couldn't hear me either. He couldn't hear me at all. But you can
Right.
you can now, okay, right?
Right.
So I was playing tech support.
Right.
That's really fun, isn't it?
Sure.
Anyway, how you doing, Steve?
I'm doing okay now.
It's been a couple of weeks, and we're
Yeah.
checking in with you to make sure you're still alive and breathing and going strong.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and you're still working at the
Lowe's.
Lowe's. Okay, I got to separate two. Lowe's is the left-wing organization, and
Right.
Home Depot is the right-wing organization, right?
That's correct.
Really? And how do we know that? Because of who they give their money to?
I guess.
Yeah, something like
And
that.
their policies.
I have a friend of mine who's a big left-winger, big lefty, almost bigger lefty than I am, and he works at Home Depot. And I asked him about that, and I don't think he knew that they were particularly right-wing. But but how do you know that Lowe's is left-wing?
I got it from a reliable source.
The usual reliable sources, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So anyway, nothing much has been happening here except that my back is out.
Really, what's wrong with your back?
I don't know, some kind of horrible pain when I try to walk and stuff. I can't go outside. Can't take a walk.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's getting a little better. It's a little better every day. It's a little better.
What's it, your lower back?
Yeah. Apparently, what happens is sometimes you sleep wrong,
Right.
and then your back hurts you for about 2 days after that.
Right.
And that's what I've got. It's old people stuff, and I'm tired of it. I don't want it. I want to be able to, you know what I want? I'll tell you what I want to be able to do. And this hit me the other day. I saw some kid on television or something get on a bed and jump up and down on it.
Oh, really?
Could you do that anymore?
No.
Why can't we do it? I mean, you would think that, hey, we're just like we were. I mean, I could do it when I was 30.
Right.
When I was 40, I could
Right.
jump
But
up.
I don't want to break the bed.
You don't want to break the bed, but what I'm saying is, can you get up and do it?
I don't know.
See, because you haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah. Decades.
The other thing I bring up to people our age, or your age, you got a long way to go before you get to be my age,
Right.
but is when you're going down into up and down a staircase, do you hold
Right.
on to the banister?
Yes.
How long have you been doing that?
I don't know exactly.
There's a point at which you started using the banister and didn't know it
Right.
because your body said, hey, I need this banister.
Right.
And
right.
I can't, if I'm got to walk down some stairs, they better goddamn well have a banister.
Right. Or I can't do it.
Yeah. Where was I the other day that Marjorie and I went, like the park or something like that, and there wasn't a banister up these stone steps.
Right.
So I just took them very slowly, but I did it.
Right.
But
It's coming down that would be the hard part.
Yes. But the other thing, going up is, I think I could trip easier. Well, I don't know. I think you're right. I probably could trip easier going down.
Right.
But I mean, it's just amazing to me that I'm like that I have to hold on to the banister all the time, and if I see a bunch of stairs with no banister,
Right. I'm not going there.
I'm not going there. Either that or what I do is I will walk sideways down the steps.
Is that right?
So my complete foot is on the step rather than half my foot is on the step. You know what I'm talking
Okay.
about?
I know what you mean.
Yeah. Those are all signs you're getting older, folks. And these are signs you don't really probably did I just when I just mentioned this to you, it's the
Right.
first time you suddenly realized you used the banister, or have you noticed that?
No, I noticed it. I noticed it a couple of years
Yeah.
back.
And you're not an old guy. You're what, 67?
Yes.
Yeah. You're not an old guy. You're not like me. You're not like a crotchety old fart. And
I can be.
yeah. And now I'm walking like an old man with this back problem.
Right.
And my wife goes, "Oh, well, you don't know from back problems."
Right.
Because she's got terrible back problems. She's had it all her life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she said it happened when she was a kid and somebody dropped her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and her back's bothered her all her life. And now it's, she barely has a back left. But
Right. Has she had surgery on it?
Oh, yeah. She's had surgery on it. She's had a lot of things done to it. She goes in for shots in her back every 6 months or something.
Oh, really? What, a cortisone shot?
A cortisone shot. I've once described Marjorie as being 75% cortisone now.
Uh-huh.
Because she goes for her hand. I only get it in my hand right here.
Right.
Boy, does that shot ever hurt.
I bet.
Yeah,
Have you seen this new medicine where they do a injection in your eye?
Yes. Now that sounds terrible, doesn't it?
I don't think I could do it.
Have you had any kind of operation on your eyes, like for
No.
Well, I've had I've had replacement of the retina or whatever it is.
Right.
And what they do is they simply put this dulling stuff on your eyeball, and they cut into your eyeball. You don't even feel it.
Is that right?
You don't even feel it. So what they probably do is they deaden the eyeball, and you don't feel it. They just do the injection, and you're good to go. It's just when you think about it, you go, ouch.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the big deal. You think, ouch. And the fact is that the first time I ever had my eyeball deadened, isn't this a wonderful conversation, folks? I hope you're enjoying it out there.
Right.
The first time I ever had my eyeball deadened was years ago when I had a bad case of conjunctivitis, and they had to burn it out with acid.
Oh, my God.
But before they did it, they put these drops in my eyes that deadened the eyeball. I didn't feel a thing.
Just the idea of that needle going into my eye just gives me the willies.
Yeah. It's the idea more than it is the actual pain. There's no pain. I mean, I had both these eyes done and had the cornea replaced. And in neither case did I ever feel it, And he's working on it. All I noticed that as he was working on it, my vision suddenly got very blurry out of this eye, or the eye he was working on.
Right.
And then
right.
about a half a minute later, it suddenly got crystal clear.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it had solved the problem. And what he did, he replaced one cornea and put in a new one, right?
Okay.
Then you go home with a cup on your eye. You look like some retarded kid in school, And you go home with the cup on your eye, so you won't sleep on it. You come in the next day, he removes the cup, looks at the eye, and says, "Come back and see me in a week." You go back and see him in a week, that's it.
That's it?
Yeah. Now that whole process, that's a wondrous operation. Because what happened was they used to do that, and when they had to do that, you had to sleep on blocks at night.
What is that?
Kept your head from moving. And you had to
Really?
you had to do that for like 3 months.
my God.
Now it's just a simple, no-nonsense operation. Go home with the cup on your eye, come back the next day, looks at it, throws the cup away, you go home.
That's like hip surgery is now an outpatient.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's an outpatient.
And then when you're through, you're no longer hip. I see. Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. You know, I just had a friend of mine. See, this is. I actually, I'm sitting here complaining about this back, which is, hurting me, but not terribly. It's not like stabbing pain. It's just, ooh, ouch, ooh, type pain. But then I had a friend of mine this week who had AFib, atrial fibrillation.
Right.
Went in the hospital, came out with a pacemaker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How long was he in the hospital?
I think it looks to me like he was in there about 3 or 4 days, maybe. They probably had to figure out what the AFib was from, and it was bad enough. Let's put a pacemaker in there.
Right.
Luckily, I don't have any of those problems.
Right.
Although probably one day you'll go, why didn't Alex write me this week? And then maybe you'd get a hold of Marjorie or something. Says, Alex okay? She says, no, he died. He had a heart attack. So I don't, who knows?
Don't say that.
Well,
Don't even put that out in the atmosphere.
I'm very morbid these days.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because I've had friends die on me, but when my best friend Shecky died, I just can't stop thinking about it.
Right.
He
was my age, wasn't he?
Yes. Exactly your age.
Right.
And he was, it was just, I don't know, it so affected me because this was a guy I talked to once a week.
Yeah, right.
And we compare notes about TV shows, and I'd ask him questions about stuff, and then he'd complain about something in politics, and we'd go on for about an hour like this. And then we hang up until next week when we do another hour, And so I really, he was, and I did this with him for close to 45 years.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I'm very used to him being around. Like if I have a question about something, I'm watching a TV show, and I go, gee, didn't they replace that actor with somebody? Wait a minute, I'll call Shecky and find out. Because he knew all this stuff.
Is that right?
Yeah, and when I go to reach for the phone, I get very depressed. Because I realize he's not there.
Right.
I found, maybe you had parents die who you loved and really cared about.
Sure.
I know your mother was very important to you.
Right.
And when she died, when was the first time you really felt it? It's probably when you went to reach for the phone to talk to her.
No, when I was in Paris and I got sick and I was in the hospital in Paris, that's when I really missed her.
Because you knew she wouldn't be there for you.
Right.
She wouldn't be there to go, there, dear boy, it'll all be okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What were you sick with in Paris?
Oh, just a bad flu.
Oh, bad flu, huh?
Right.
Yeah. How old was your mother when she died?
It was 46.
She was 46. How old were you? You had to be very young.
No, I was in my teens.
Yeah. That's rough.
Yeah.
I mean, I lost my father in my 20s. And that was kind of rough because we could have had him for another 20 years.
Right.
I like to talk about what went wrong with my father because he had a pituitary tumor. And they kept trying to operate on him, but they couldn't get to the tumor, right? Because
Why is that?
Well, the pituitary is if you take your finger and put it here in the center of your head and then put it here in the center of your head, top of your head, and then you draw a line between them, that's where the pituitary tumor is. It's very difficult to get to.
Right.
So when he got a pituitary tumor, they were really quite inoperable, all right? Either that or he went to Kaiser, which, Bubbles refers to as doctor-assisted suicide.
Right.
But they couldn't figure it out, and they couldn't do it. He finally died of the pituitary tumor, 59 years old. So about 3 years later, 4 years later, I'm going out on a date with this woman, and I said, so anyway, she said, you know, I had a real health scare way back when. I said, well, what happened? She said, about a year ago, they diagnosed me with a pituitary tumor. And I kind of looked at her like, and you're still alive?
Right.
And I said that, and you're still alive? And she says, oh, it's a very simple operation now. They found a way to get to the pituitary. They went through the top of your mouth.
Is that right?
Yeah, through the top of your mouth. Went in there, got snip, got rid of the thing. That was it. Today, nobody dies of a pituitary tumor.
Right.
So
right.
I think about my father, that had he lived another 2 years, 3 years before getting this, there might have been a way to take care of him, but they didn't have a way. And so I lost him at 59. I felt I was robbed of him rather early.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because the last thing I remembered before this incident was he was a real vital guy, you know.
Right.
What did your mother die of?
Lung cancer.
At 46? She must have been one hell of a smoker.
Yes.
Yeah.
One hell of a smoker and a coffee drinker.
Coffee drinker?
Right.
Well, coffee's not going to kill you.
No.
If it does, goodbye. But I think it was probably the smoking, you know.
Right. No, I'm sure it was the smoking.
You know, I wonder why some people go from lung cancer that early and others die from lung cancer quite late.
Right.
I've never been able to figure that out, and I don't think neither is medicine.
No.
Maybe you have a propensity towards it or something like that.
I don't know. Like I said, one side of my family lives forever, and the other side dies real young.
Really? Which now you have to take a mean average there.
Right. Like my grandparents are both over 100.
What?
My grandparents on my father's side were both over 100.
Well, my father went at 49, and my mother went at 100 and a half.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And my father went in his mid-90s.
Really? So,
Right.
Yeah. So, in other words, that side of your family was, you know. Now, can I ask you, which was your favorite parent?
Oh, my mother.
Your mother. My favorite parent was my father.
Is that right?
I adored my father. I considered him the funniest, smartest guy I ever knew in my life, you know? And yet my mother lived to be 100.
Right.
To piss the living shit out of me.
Right.
You know? I mean,
Right.
well, yeah, I mean, I guess I loved Mom. You got to love your mother, I guess.
Right.
I went to a shrink once, and he said, after we had dealt with this girl I broke up with after about 6 months of going to him, I said, don't you think it's time we dealt with something else other than my girlfriend?
Right.
He said, all right, what would you like to talk about? I said, well, I don't exactly like my mother. And he looked at me and he said, nobody has to. Now, what about the girlfriend? Nobody has to. Of course, nobody has to.
Right.
But, you know,
Right.
I always felt guilty about not feeling a great, warm, fuzzy feeling about my mother. So, you know.
That's life.
Yeah. But I considered her, compared to my father, I considered her stupid. Okay? Yeah. And I mean, I loved her. I took care of her as she got older. She went to the old folks' home, you know, things like that. I went and visited her. And all of that. But, you know, I mean, I just never felt the same feeling I felt for my father. It was, I still miss him to this day, you know.
Sure. I still miss my mother.
Yeah. And they were able, I think one of the things we're probably, as kids, were very selfish because they were probably two people, in your case, your mother, in my case, my father, who you depended upon.
Right.
For answers.
Right.
You know, answers to that which, you know, could bother you in this world.
Right.
And when I had problems, I'd call my father, and my father would, you know, counsel me on it, you know. Well, once he was gone, my mother didn't give a crap.
Is that right?
You know, so it's you know something, you would have, we would have both had wonderful childhoods if I had your mother and you had my father.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. If both of them were existed in one relationship, that would have been a great family to be brought up in.
Right.
You know.
Right.
The bad family would have been your father and your
Your mother.
and my mother. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So here we are, folks. This little psychology session we're having here.
All right. A little therapy.
You ever go to a shrink?
Yeah.
Yeah. They do any good for you?
Somewhat. Somewhat.
I often walked out of every instance with a shrink and said, well, that's another $125 shot.
Right. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I had actually had a my shrink that I wound up with. I had this one shrink when he finally couldn't. All he ever wanted to bring up was the trouble with the girlfriend. Long after I had broken up with the girlfriend and no longer even cared about her.
Right.
You know, he wasn't dealing with the other problems I had, and God knows I'm a psychological textbook here. You know? And so I went to another doctor. I needed another shrink, I decided, because I went back with this girlfriend, and she drove me nuts again, so I had to go see somebody. So I went and saw a guy who was a shrink, who was a friend of mine. Do you ever remember in the underground press a Dr. Hippocrates who used to write an advice column?
Right.
Yeah, well, he was known as Dr. Hip, Eugene Schoenfeld, and he became my shrink, and I went to him every week, you know.
Oh, really?
And I can't say that he did much to solve my problems, but it was much more soothing than this other shrink, you know.
Right. Right.
At least if I was wasting my money, it was on a friend. But I find that I had one shrink who told me that if you go to a psychiatrist and you have one visit and you don't walk away feeling better, then don't go back to him.
Is that right?
What he said is...
Are you talking about a psychiatrist or a therapist?
A psychiatrist.
The psychiatrists just basically deal with meds, and it's the therapist that you do the talking.
The therapist keeps you talking?
Yeah, I see the therapist once a week, and I see the psychiatrist once a month.
Yeah, well, really? I never knew the difference between the two, except that one had far more medical experience.
Right. One's a doctor.
One's a doctor, and the other is a PhD, usually.
Right.
Yeah. No, I never was able to distinguish between the two. You know, it's very strange. But anyway, so he said that if you don't go away from a psychiatrist in the first visit, feeling just a little bit better,
Right.
he said, then don't go back. He said because psychiatry said wasn't that complicated,
Right.
you know, and that you could solve somebody's problems fairly easily by talking them out with them in a session or whatever. But you left feeling a little better than you went in.
Right.
And he said, then don't go back to him. Find yourself another shrink. So, you know, I always took that to heart. I think there was another doctor that told me that any operation you have to do, right? Or simple operations, things like appendicitis, the appendix and whatever, he could teach you how to do it in an hour.
Is that right?
Yeah, he could teach you how to do it in an hour. The only thing that's difficult, you got to be able to cut into somebody to do it.
Right. Right.
That's the only hard part. He said once you're there, snip, snip, you got the appendix.
Right. Like I had my gallbladder removed.
Yeah, exactly. So you wonder, you know, how much. I often wonder with doctors when I go to them, they have all these plaques up on the wall, you know, saying where they graduated from. But it doesn't say what kind of grade they got on their test.
Right.
You know, I mean, you can pass with 70%.
That's right.
Right? You can go to a doctor that's a 70% doctor, but you'll never know it.
Right.
You know, so anyway. Well, we had fun here talking about our psychological problems.
Right.
But you don't have any anymore, right?
Oh, there's still stuff I need to
There
deal
was
with.
a nice big pause there when I said, right?
Right.
Wrong. Yeah. I don't know. Am I screwed up? Yeah, I got my problems. I'm not as nutty as you were. Okay.
Oh, thanks.
I'll let you take that from me.
Right.
Well, they never manifested themselves like they did in you.
Right.
Mine-
You never went to sleepaway camp.
Worst thing I am is a hypochondriac. That's the worst about me.
Right.
Always worried about my health and that everything's going to kill me, and one day I'm going to be right.
And that's what they'll put on your headstone.
Yeah, that's what they'll put on my. Hey, listen, it's good talking to you again, my friend.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. You had fun?
Really?
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
You had a good
Yes.
time? Okay.
Of course.
I'll see you again at this time next week.
Absolutely.
Be sure to write the appointment down in your book, and I'll solve all your problems the next time you call.
I already did. I already wrote it down.
I solved his technical problems. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Steve Kravitz. Bye, Steve.
Bye, Alex. Bye, folks.
Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Well, okay. Hello, everybody. How are you? Let's see here. We going out okay? I guess we're going out okay. Let me just see here if we're going out okay. Yeah, we are. So I have no idea why nobody is calling right now. Nobody. You know, and I'm getting sick and tired of this, and I don't know. I just don't understand it. But what the hell, you know? I mean, I've been, you know, for a long time I've said I've thought about bringing this whole project to a close, and lately it's become even more apparent because if I'm not going to get participation from people, then I don't see why I should continue doing it. You know, I would still do, for instance, the Monday show, which we get a ton of people calling that. But, I mean, all of a sudden, nobody's calling this. I'm just sitting here talking to myself, you know. So, anyway, I have a few things to talk to you about, and I will allow people some significant time to call, and then if they don't, I'm signing off. What the hell? I could turn around and go to sleep. Be very nice for me. Let me talk to you about YouTube for a second. This is another reason why I constantly am thinking about, you know, doing something different. YouTube is the only source that I have to be able to put this program out live and not have to pay an incredible amount of money to do it. The closest I could come, I could go to Vimeo and do programs live, but I couldn't get to as many people as I want to get to, and it would cost me like $75 a month. YouTube, on the other hand, costs nothing. Now, I realize that when somebody is allowing you to use their service and they're not charging you for it, that you really pretty much are at their behest, okay? And I should thank them for the ability to do this and put this out there. But I just, you know, I am getting a little fed up with something. And it's something that I can't abide with. Let me show you, let me see if I can bring it up here. Let me show you what do you call it? Let me show you a letter that I got from YouTube. And I'll just show you the letter quickly here. Wait a minute, I got to figure out where my TV stuff is. Where is it? Well, how do I bring it up? Well, I'll just do this. Hold on a second, folks. I'll do this. Okay, there it is. There's the letter. Hi, Alex Bennett. Are you ready for this? Our team has reviewed your content, and unfortunately, we think it violates our medical misinformation policy. We've removed the following content from YouTube. Now, I want you to look at this. See? You see that? Alex Bennett's Ramble? 7/16/2021. It's like almost 2 years ago. Why is that? What? They're sending it to me now? And by the way, let me just say that I do something which I put up two different versions of the program. They're both identical, except one is the live program signal, and one is a recording I make. And they are essentially both the same, except that the original one has the original one, okay, has a spots and so on in front of it, promotions. But outside of that, it's not there. And then at the next day, I cut that part out, so they're really identical. All right. Now this one is from the one that I recorded. See, it says from YouTube Live. The other one says live. So that other one still remained up. So if they're trying to solve this problem, right, and they're trying to, give me a bad time about it, well, then they should go after both of them, shouldn't they? No, but they don't. It says, we know this might be disappointing, but it's important to us that YouTube is a safe place for all. If content breaks our rules, we remove it. If you think you've made a mistake, you can appeal and we'll take another look. Keep reading for more. And then it says how you violated he said, YouTube doesn't allow claims about COVID-19 vaccinations that contradict the expert consensus from local health authorities and the World Health Organization. That would be WHO. Okay? How this affects your channel? Because this is the first time, this is just a warning. If it happens again, your channel will get a strike and you won't be able to do things like upload, post, or live stream for a week. And if it happens 3 times that I get a strike, I am pretty much out of the, out of YouTube. Okay. First of all, this was 2 years ago. What are they doing sending it to me now? I have no idea. Secondly, let me tell you the content that was on that program, and I went back and listened to the other one that I keep a copy of every program, so I went back and listened to the program. And after listening to it, I realized that we had talked about COVID-19, and we had discussed certain theories that were going around out there that were not right. And what it was one of our callers said to us, it was a friend of ours that is in the Tenderloin. He said, I was watching Fox today and they were saying this about COVID. And he said, how can they do that? Because it's so erroneous to say that sort of thing. And so I agreed with him. I said, it's horrible that they're saying that kind of stuff. So what we were doing was we were refuting something Fox had said, and in refuting it, he said what it was. That's what I got not the strike for, but the warning for, is that we were simply trying to make people realize that there are some fallacious things going around out there that were bad information and you shouldn't pay attention to it. But so I write back to YouTube and I said, here's the conversation that we had, and it was in relation to Fox and some erroneous information they were giving out, and we were simply saying what that erroneous information was. And what do they do? What do they do? What do they do? Are they going to they looked at it, and what do you guess what? We've reviewed your appeal for the following, blah, 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 blah. We've reviewed your content carefully and we've confirmed that it violates our medical misinformation policy. So we couldn't even have a discussion about false ideas about COVID and to watch out for them. And if you listen to Fox, don't pay attention to them because they're giving you misinformation. We could not. YouTube is not letting me do that, and they didn't. I'm sure they said we went back and we listened to it. A human being listened to it. I'm sure what they had was a snippet that it had found, and it just cut out what went on before it and what went on after it. So you would think that, okay, I want to inform them that, hey, you haven't listened to the whole thing, but that's not what happened. I then tried to go back and see if I could write them again, and I can't because the determination has been made, and that's final. Well, I'm sick of that kind of stuff going on YouTube. To begin with, they have a monopoly over what they do. May I say, in many ways, a well-earned monopoly because they came up with an idea a long time ago. Well, actually, they bought an idea from somebody else a long time ago. And it turned into something which has made people like me able to do video shows every night. But the fact of the matter is, I think this is a restraint of trade, and it's a restraint of ideas. Now, granted, what I feel that we were doing was trying to say, hey, there's some erroneous information going on out there, and we want you to be aware of it, and here's what the erroneous information is. And because we said that's what the erroneous information was, we are now being accused of passing across erroneous information. And you all know that on this program, even with some of our callers who started having theories about COVID and so on, I said to them, no, that's all wrong. And you shouldn't say that. And you're not a doctor. Don't try and, make come up with an idea on that. So anyway, the bottom line is, I really hate them for this. And I find this disgusting. And I've been trying to figure out if they won't listen to me and they won't listen to what I have to say, because there's no way I can get a hold of them and get them to change their idea and their opinion of what went on in the show. Because of that, I just think I have no other recourse but to file a letter of complaint to the Attorney General of the state of New York, and perhaps the Attorney General of the United States, saying that this is restraint of trade, and you are not allowed to appeal it in any realistic way, because how they could read what I had to say and then go back and listen to that and listen to the whole thing, listen to the whole chunk, without what went on before it and what went on after it. I mean, sure, at one point the guy says, and here's what they said, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's probably what their algorithms heard, and that's probably what they had a recording of. But, I tried to explain to them what the whole conversation was about, but to no avail. However, when I try to go back and maybe write them again and say, but I still think you're wrong, and here's why you're wrong, and I tried to tell you this, I can't do it. There's no way I can do it. When I go to appeal it, it says you've already appealed it, you can't appeal it again. There's something patently wrong about that. And it takes up too much of my time. I have over and over again, we've had problems with them demonetizing me because of something, and then I appeal it, and they listen to it, and they say, oh, well, it's all okay now, Sorry, you'll be happy to know, but the letters are very positive. Oh, we're happy to inform you that we reviewed your show, and no, it isn't. Shouldn't be demonetized. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of that. It's exhausting me, and I just find that this is a monopoly. There's nobody else that has as many people using their system to see shows like mine, And I don't know. I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do. But anyway, that's what it's all about. And I just don't know how much longer I can put up with that. So I'm thinking of starting a show called YouTube Sucks, and then do a whole show every day for like 5 minutes, railing against them for just stuff like this, and see how long it is before they take me off. In which case, I probably have a pretty good case. Anyway, there's hardly anybody calling, but there are a couple of people calling right now, and maybe we'll keep them on for a short time. Hello to Alan, and hello to Brian. Hello, Brian. Thank you so much, both of you, for calling. Nobody else was calling. I'm getting sick of this. Huh?
You say that every show.
Well, I'm very serious about it now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've got.
I was thinking when you were talking about the misinformation that it probably was Phil and not.
No, it wasn't Phil. It was.
I know who you're talking about.
The guy in the Tenderloin. What's his name?
John Larkin.
John Larkin. And what he was saying was, I was watching Fox today, and they were talking about COVID, and they said thus and thus. I'm not going to repeat it because I'll probably get demonetized or something. I'll get another one of these letters, which is more serious than being demonetized. And he was just simply saying, and that's terrible. That was his point.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you though, as much as I don't think misinformation about COVID is very good, okay, I will say that I don't think it should be censored. And here's the reason why. Because any idea they might have a certain amount of validity. I may not agree with it. I may think it is misinformation. But how many times do we find out 10 years later that the concept we had about something was all wrong?
Smoking.
Smoking, yeah. So that... so that the thing that they censored me for could well be something that 10 years from now they go, Fox was right on that one. Even though I said, this is misinformation. So, I mean, how dare they?
But what is their process? Because why are they going back so far? Well, I don't understand if they're running a company, we're running on current information, right? Maybe they have a 1 week lag time, a month lag time or something, and then you just continue to go on unless they have some new algorithm or something that goes back through everything from day one and now it's scanning for something else. I don't understand this.
Well, the fact is that they all these things that I've gotten lately have been like from years back. How dare you even go after me for something that happened 2 years ago, even if I was
That's
wrong.
What I'm saying. If I have a company that's supposed to catch all this stuff, and then we're keeping on the current stuff, there's so many videos going on. Why would they spend the time to go all the way back and start?
Listen, if they listen to tonight's show, and I say something that they feel violates their doctrines or whatever, well, then you let me know, because I'm going to either stop it or I'm going to continue it. But I know, and it's current. But saying something 2 years ago, all it is they, some reason, they got all paranoid or something and went back and had their algorithms look at every show that's ever been done on YouTube and gone back and found this. But they didn't find it on the other show I posted of the same exact program. That's the other point. What I did is I took that one off because I didn't want them to give me another thing and say that, well, now you're guilty of a strike, and so we're going to give you a strike. I'm not going to let them be able to do that, So I took it off. I got rid of it. But their algorithm didn't find that one. And this happens all the time. I have 2 shows I post. One gets demonetized, the other one doesn't. That's very frustrating. Very frustrating. So I'm thinking about, I've been thinking about writing a letter, if I've got the strength to do it, to at least the Attorney General of New York. And Huh?
Do a chat GBT or whatever the heck that thing is.
Yeah, right. Have it
Put
right.
in there complaint about YouTube demonetizing me and see what it comes up with.
Yeah, it's good idea. Good idea. You know.
And put like 200,000 words needed, and just let it keep going. And just
and also, I'm disappointed because Alan, more than anybody knows, I've warned him any number of times to be careful about the information he was putting out on the air vis-a-vis COVID. I've been very, very strict about this. And it wasn't because I was worried about YouTube. I just didn't want misinformation, medical misinformation, to go out on my program. I wouldn't have allowed it on any of my radio shows when I was out over broadcast, and I don't allow it here. So you know how assiduous I've been that way, Alan.
Yeah, I like the last time you told me don't talk about medical stuff, and the very next night you asked me a medical question.
Well, you know. But
your experts to call me in the morning. What?
Well, I just know what I don't want more than anything else is information being given out that people could take wrong. You know, I mean that's always a problem. So anyway, so that's that. Anything you guys are doing I should know about?
Did you watch the special report, the CNN one yet?
Oh yeah, on San Francisco.
Yeah,
I watched.
There's all your tents that you're asking to see.
Well, I was watching not only that, but just the whole thing of what's going on in San Francisco and the fentanyl crisis in San Francisco, and why fentanyl is so important to the scenario in San Francisco is they had more fentanyl deaths, I think, in 2021. Did they say 2021?
Yeah. More
than from COVID.
Yep.
In San Francisco.
And everybody's going there because they get cheap drugs, good drugs, and
the fentanyl is the cheapest anywhere in the United States.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just so sad what's happened to San Francisco. Now I understand, they're not pitching tents in the marina. At least it didn't appear that. But nevertheless, it's still it's terrible. And
you gotta put you gotta put us on the YouTube.
Oh, I didn't. Oh boy, I'm sorry. Here we go. There they go. I'm sorry, folks, but you could hear them. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Let's start over.
Okay. Yeah, I'll play the theme all over again. Yeah. But anyway, so I mean, I just I've had it with.
Yeah, and then there's even Silicon Valley here. Roku's leaving. Well, they're not leaving, but they're not having people come back. So.
Not coming back to work, you mean?
Right, coming back into work. So the Roku buildings now that we're near the airport, those are vacant. They're going to start leasing those out. But that's what's happening to a lot of the companies up in San Francisco now, too. So now it's...
Well, is it that people are all working from home now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some are downsizing. So San Francisco in 10 or 20 years, I don't know what it's going to look like.
Well, I read something today that a lot of these companies, the streaming companies, have been, they've been downsizing like crazy.
Yeah. And
it turns out now that even prior to that, their profits have gone up. I mean, it's just, but what happened in San Francisco is just that to begin with, we had all those people in from all those companies moving to San Francisco and paying outlandish rents, and the rents kept going up and up and up and up because you don't have the same thing we have here. We have rent stabilization. We have things like that. In San Francisco, you don't have that in quite this as ferociously as we have it here. And so consequently, they say the rents in San Francisco are incredibly high. They were saying the average rent for a one-bedroom in San Francisco is $3,000 a month.
Wow.
But in New York City, it happens to be something like $4,000 a month.
Yeah, I'm going to rent my mother's apartment probably soon. And
your mother's apartment?
Yeah, up here. So I'm
Oh, you mean her room?
No, the whole top floor, we're gonna rent it. Me and my brother, we decided.
Well, why not? Is there anybody
I know.
living?
We waited 2 years because we were afraid of COVID and not getting, and it was too soon, because she just passed away. So
Well, if you've got the room and it's not going to impinge on your, on your comfort.
no, it's not. It was just we just waited a little bit.
Are you?
So now we're gonna cash in on Mom's house, Alex. I'm joking.
Are you renting it in coffee?
I gotta. Well, I mean, we probably have my brother's friend. His son wants it. He's a fireman, so they're gonna come look at it tomorrow. He's gonna come look at it. He lives in the area, so the mother and father are moving upstate. So he wants to stay local. So we're gonna let him see it, and he sounds like a good guy. So he's a
How much are you going to rent it for?
2,400. That's not bad. It's 3 bedrooms.
Well, that's not
We
bad.
may give him a
No,
break.
that's not
though.
bad at all.
No, it's a big
The
apartment.
neighborhood.
Yeah, and it's close to everything, Alex. It's like he could be in the city. His house is in Manhattan. He could be in the city within 15 minutes. That's why he likes it. He doesn't.
Where are you in Queens?
I'm in Mass with Middle Village border, so I can be right in Brooklyn in 10 minutes or Manhattan in 15 with a car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the convenience is right there, really.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's coming with his mother and father tomorrow, so it's okay.
Well, if it does it have a separate entrance?
It does, yeah. Well, we have 2 entrances, one the front door and then one the side door. So he just would go right upstairs where my mom's apartment is, like where it is now.
Oh, that's fine. But you're gonna
that's exactly.
You're
It's
gonna
the
have
right
to,
time.
You're gonna have to clean out.
I know.
You're gonna have to repaint. I
Well,
would suggest.
I got the Irish guy here painting like crazy. Oh, he smelled they had a few beers after work. He was in there, Paul painting. I was like, guys, I said, we got a guy coming tomorrow. You know what he told me? Tony, he goes, you know how they have that
Listen,
road?
just a hint. If you want to improve the ability to rent that upstairs, make sure you use the same wallpaper you have downstairs.
Alex, we're not going to rip the wallpaper down. We're just painting. My brother's like, don't you want to take this down? Well, we're going to leave it up. I'm going to leave it up. If he wants to take it down, he could. But I'm painting everything now. Every room is getting
Does your
repainted.
brother live there?
Yeah, he lives downstairs with me. We have the first floors all new, and the basement's all new. So we got the bottom 2 floors are all us, really. You're just going to see me calling from the basement with all the comics all over in the movies.
Where are you calling us from now?
This is my mother's apartment. That's the only thing I'm taking down is that curio with all the stuff I bought her.
So all this time you're calling from your mom still?
Yeah, come upstairs. It's my little office.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's the top floor.
Are you on the top?
Downstairs,
Are you calling us now from the top floor?
Yeah, this is the top floor apartment.
Oh, that's where that hideous wallpaper was?
Yeah, it's my mother's original wallpaper.
Oh, your mother.
Still in his mom's place.
Your mother didn't die from COVID. She died from looking at that wallpaper.
You know what was funny, Alex? When I went over Shecky's, he started laughing one time. I don't mean to bring him up. He says, what? Alex is wrong. That wallpaper is hideous. I said, you're right. I walked by one night when I was taking care of her. When you said it the first time, and it was at night when she was alive, and I walked by the wallpaper and went, oh my God, it doesn't match.
Well, I would
he's
keep
right. I never looked at it that
what
way.
I would do is I would keep the wallpaper because now it's legend.
Yeah, it is legend. I swear I'm not ripping it down. Now, if he wants to rip it down, he could. I'm just not going to pay to rip my mom's wallpaper down.
You don't have to tear it down. You can paint right over it.
No, but I think he'll keep it. It's up to him, the kid. I'll let him do whatever he wants. But everything else is getting painted.
Yeah.
Did
You have coffee tonight?
I did. I ran out of Maxwell House. I got to go to Costco tomorrow for the lock. Yeah. I got to get it.
Boy, they have nothing at Costco anymore. I like this, like ice soda. This,
you got that?
This stuff.
I know what you're talking about. I think I've seen it.
Stuff. Well, the ice soda.
Oh, I get that too. The different flavors. Yeah, I have it downstairs.
Well, mine doesn't have it lately.
Really?
And they don't have the chili, which is terrific. They don't have the chili, and they don't have the keto bars.
The ice is good. I get that too with all the flavors. Yeah.
You have the keto bars still at yours?
The keto, I'm not sure.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Brian.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna get a breath. I get my ice.
Yeah, thank you. Take a breath. Change your shirt. Hey, are you gonna wear a nice shirt when they come?
And when he's close to the camera, it cuts down on the brightness, and we don't have to see the wallpaper. But now that we have to see it, man, that's hideous.
Oh my God, what's he gonna do with all those things in the cabinets? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway. So I don't know if they have the keto bars. We're gonna go Costco this weekend, so I'll find out. I'll send you some.
Oh yeah, right. By the time they get here, they'll just be, well, forget it. You know.
At least they got rid of those peanut brittle ones. Those were terrible. I didn't like those. They had the regular ones again. So
butter brittle, I think it was, or something like that. It had some type. Butter pecan. It was pecan.
I don't know. Something. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, but anyway,
you got me on it now. I got a whole case.
But
too,
they
yeah.
don't sell it. They don't sell it at Costco right now.
I'm surprised you didn't get it. Maybe they got a problem with it.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff you can't get there lately.
Certain things they come in, they don't come back in. Then after a while.
Well, what they do is they do something very insidious. I should write the Attorney General on this one. They do an insidious thing. They have something like, let's say they have I'll give you an example. They used to have the apple wood bacon, thick sliced bacon, right? And it's terrific. Well, they suddenly brought in Kirkland thick sliced bacon, Kirkland, which is not as good as the Applewood. And Applewood's tastier, right?
Yeah.
And then they weren't carrying the Applewood anymore, and all I could buy was the Kirkland. What's that all about?
They want to sell their product. That's what it is.
Oh yeah, but it didn't used to be. What they used to do,
they used to have both.
They used to have both. Yeah, they would have theirs.
You're right.
And they would on the label it would say something like "compare to Applewood," you know. And they would have theirs, and then would have the Applewood. They would have Sunkissed tuna, and then they would have the Kirkland tuna.
The chicken's good, Alex. Try the chicken in the can. I get that sometimes.
Chicken in the can? Are you crazy?
I'm telling you, the Kirkland one, I make chicken salad with it. I love it, yeah.
Is it better than Spam?
Oh, I saw the Spam. They got a pack of 6. I thought of Alan when I sent the picture to Phil. I said Spam. That's not bad with an omelet, though. You can chop it up, though.
I've never eaten Spam, but I've seen your cooking before.
Jeff?
One thing that's bothering me at Costco is they're moving everything in different locations.
Oh, they always do that.
They always do that.
You can't find anything.
Yeah, that's annoying.
That's the idea is though they think you'll buy more of other things.
Well, the thing was that I used to go down there. I used to get what do you call it? Coca-Cola Zero, Coke Zero.
No sugar.
And all of a sudden it disappeared. It wasn't where it was.
Yeah.
And I kept looking through the whole store to find it, and I couldn't find it. And finally one day I went in there. I said, "Where's the Coke Zero?" And they said, "Oh, it's way over there." And they had moved the thing completely to the other side of the store. And they do that. They will take something you like, they will move it, and then you can't find it. And finally, by the time you find it, you don't want it anymore. You know.
Does that make you go up and down every aisle then? Is that what they want you to do?
They want you to go up and down the aisle because they figure, you'll go, peanut brittle. I think I could do some peanut brittle. Oh, well, I'll go down this aisle. Well, the chicken in a can or whatever that is.
It's good. I'm telling you, it's not bad. You know what's good too? The chicken's there, like $6. You get the chicken cooked already.
Well, no, do they really have that?
Did you ever get? I always get the rotisserie when I'm there.
What is it? Is it good?
Oh, I like it. Yeah, I like the chicken. Yeah. I used to get it from
You're a moron. Of course. That is the biggest selling single item at Costco. Do you know that?
Oh, really? Every time I go in, I always get a rotisserie chicken. I have to get one. I tell my sister.
Please.
Nationwide.
Really?
Alan, please swear to me you won't send him any more coffee.
I haven't sent him any in a couple months.
I think we should make it illegal for him to buy it.
Yeah, I'm a caffeine brain. I am.
I mean,
I gotta buy it.
I never got that wired on cocaine in my day.
Can you imagine if I did drugs one time? I wonder how it would affect me.
Well,
that would affect us.
It depends upon the drug.
Would cocaine make me really wired?
I think Ritalin might help.
That's what Phil said. You should take Ritalin to calm me. They used to move me around the classroom. He's at it again.
Yeah.
If you've never taken drugs, this is the hardest drug you've taken, and this is what it's doing to you.
Exactly, caffeine. It's like
I can't even. I drink coffee here, and I can't get a buzz out of it. I can't even. And I got double dose coffee here.
Yeah, I drink it when I'm watching TV late at night, so I can stay up. Yeah.
So you can stay up till the next day?
I want to watch a movie. If I was watching an old Robert Mitchum movie, so I have my coffee with me, and I said, "All right, I'm going to be able to beat my sleep because I want to see the ending." I hate continuing a movie the next day. I like to watch the whole thing through.
Which Robert Mitchum movie were you watching?
I was watching Dead Man, the last one he was in by Jim Jarmusch. It was a Western. It was like 2.5 hours.
I watched him the other night. Marjorie and I watched him in Night of the Hunter.
Oh, who was in that? What was the lady in that? Wasn't that a remake with Cape Fear or no, Alex?
No. Cape Fear wasn't a remake. That was the original with him.
Oh, he was in the original. That's right. Yes, I'm sorry.
And Scorsese, I think, used him in the remake.
Oh, he did. I have to see that again.
But not in the same role.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but no. Night of the Hunter is a really great film. He plays an evil preacher.
Oh, really?
Who's trying to find some money that some guy told him before he was executed that he had stolen from this guy, and when he got out of prison, he's looking for it. It's only like, what is it, $10,000, something like that.
Yeah,
but it's a great movie. I mean, he's just
he's
the most evil guy you've ever seen in your life. He's just amazing. And it was Shelley Winters was in it.
Yeah, looking at the cast.
And, of course, an old favorite of yours, Lillian Gish.
Who is that Lillian Gish? Yeah.
You know who Lillian Gish is, right, Jeff? What, turn your mic on. I can't hear you. What?
She's an old lady.
Well, she was an old lady, but she was a great actress.
Yes, she was.
And she had been in movies. Her first movie that she was ever in was Birth of a Nation. So, I mean, for her to get all the way to the 50s and be making movies with Robert Mitchum, pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. But anyway, you know, they were the Gish sisters, and they both appeared in D.W. Griffith racist films, you know. Anyway. So I don't know about YouTube, but I keep thinking, what am I going to do? What could I do for an alternative? And even if I wanted to spend the money, there isn't a really good alternative to YouTube. And yet, you know what I don't get? Tonight I was watching a thing on the invention of television, and I remember this is an episode from a series called the something Pioneers or something of electronic. Anyway, it was a show that was done on one of the major cable networks, and it was on there. And I'm going, okay, well, I guess that cable network put it on there. But no, this is some other guy who just decided to put it up.
Oh, wow.
And why YouTube allows so much theft of product.
Spider-Man cartoons on there from the 60s.
Theft of product to be put on there. You know, I went on, was looking for like old American dance bandstands just to see it for a second. There were like 100 of them.
Yeah, this stuff.
Well, come on, you know, somebody owns that somewhere, or somebody put their heart and soul into making that product, and now it's being stolen by somebody to put on YouTube, who then doesn't take it down. They maybe send them something saying, "Oh, it's copyrighted material, so you're going to have to share your monetization with them." You know, but I mean, what was it? I think Shecky and I were talking about it, certainly before he died, about the fact that it's probably one of the greatest violators of copyright, YouTube, and making a fortune off of it.
And they got the Sunday ticket, Alex, this year, YouTube.
Well, that's on their pay thing.
They're going to pay, so they're going to really scoop it up.
I'm talking about regular YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, they run commercials before every video, unless you pay them $11 a month not to get the commercials. They're making that money off of it, and a lot of that is on copyrighted material.
They're not getting paid.
You know, I can't believe this thing I watched tonight isn't still in copyright. Ridiculous.
I love watching the old stuff too, yeah.
You know, demonetize me for like playing a song or something.
I mean, that's kind of tacky, really.
Screw you. You know,
You're a $1 billion company. I mean.
yeah, I mean, it just, and a little guy like me is going to fight them. You know, who are they owned by? They're owned by Google, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they Google.
You know, so I mean, so I try to sue them. But listen, they got lawyers up the gazang. I can be in court forever, and at my age, I won't live to see the end of it. But I figure maybe by turning them into the attorney general, if I make a good case in writing, that maybe they'll look into it, because it is, to me, it is restraint of trade, and it is, I think, a monopoly. As I said earlier, a well-earned monopoly because they were there first doing this kind of thing, and, they deserve to have the lion's share of the audience, but they've got too much of it. Like, Brian, how do you listen to this show when you weren't here tonight? How do you listen to it?
Yeah, YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah. So when I'm even in my car, I put YouTube on. But before I started coming on, it was on my podcast list, so I listened to it there.
Yeah. Okay.
But you guys were only filming on Friday nights at that time.
Yeah, I mean, the podcast king at one point was iTunes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what.
But iTunes really doesn't have the lion's share of the listenership anymore.
Yeah.
A
lot of stuff's on video now. Even KMBR, the sports channel that's here, last week they went on Twitch. So they're live on Twitch and YouTube now. So they live stream their sports show every day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so all from their studios they film it now. So it's like everything's being filmed.
So speaking of sports, the Warriors didn't do that well, did they?
Hey, so I heard New York that what's their names? The Prince and whatever, driving around for 2 hours or something like that.
What, you're changing the subject from the Warriors?
Well, that paparazzi going on in New York. Yes, I'm changing the subject.
Well, what happened was Harry and Meghan were coming out of something at the Ziegfeld Theater. It was some kind of a thing where I think Meghan got an award of some sort of prestigious award. And they got out, they got in their car, and all of a sudden the paparazzi are chasing them. And they're claiming that they were chased around Manhattan for 2 hours by the paparazzi because they kept trying to evade them. And you say, well, how can you go that far up and down for that long? And they really were going back and forth on the FDR Drive, which is a drive that goes from all the way to the tip of Manhattan all the way to the top of Manhattan. And they were trying to avoid going back to where they were staying because they were being put up by a friend of theirs who, at his good graces, and they didn't want the paparazzi to find out where they were staying for this, in respect to this guy. Okay. So it became very reminiscent of what happened to Diana in Paris. But not as obviously it turned out not to be as dangerous, but it could have been,
But they were taking taxis.
Mm-hmm.
They were hopping in taxis back and forth. That's what I heard.
Yeah. Deutsche Bank, $75 million to sexual abuse victims. That's nice. By the way, what about the government? Do you ever notice this whole thing? We always come close to going into default, right? But we never do we?
Yeah.
They always come up with something at the last minute,
Well, not only is that good, but it means the stock went up today.
The stocks went up?
Yeah.
How well? How much?
I don't know.
I'll tell you right now.
400 pips.
Yeah, but the market didn't do so well. So
yeah, the market. I've tried to figure out what could I do with my money where it would not be in jeopardy. And
put it in the bank.
Well, wait. Yes, really?
Which bank?
Really, which bank?
National one, Chase Manhattan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they're not going to go under.
Not any of the big ones.
You don't think so? Oh, okay. Tell me that when we hear they go under or they need to be bailed out by the government because they're too big to fail. Do you remember the banks that were too big to fail?
Then spread it around. There's 250,000 of insurance. 3 or 4 banks.
There's what?
You get 250 from the Fed.
250,000 insurance, FDIC insurance. So
is that per bank, or let's say I have
Let me see.
I have $500,000 to put in the bank.
Probably
All right.
spread it out.
Now
in yours and Marjorie's name, that's 500.
In other words, if I have 2 accounts at, say, Bank of America, and I put 250 in one account and 250 in the other account, I am then covered by the FDIC?
As long as Marjorie's name's on.
Well, if my name is on it.
Only your name. Only 250 per bank.
Per bank? What?
Thanks. You can go to like.
In other words, I have like 3 accounts at my bank.
Okay.
All right. If I put it in, separate it between 2 accounts at that bank, am I safe?
250 is the limit per bank.
Yeah. So I'd have to. Yeah. So that's what you do.
Or you could do it the old-fashioned way, stuff it in the house like the old timers.
Well, I mean, that's, you know, I began to
I've
think.
been listening to Phil too much lately.
Yeah, you told me that, Phil, one time. They stuff in mayonnaise.
I've been thinking about the old mattress.
Yeah, the mattress. Go to the mattresses. Yeah, to get the money.
Yeah.
What about your mom, Tony? Did she stuff anything? Have you gone through everything?
You know what? My old report card, she saved all of them. She had penny rolls still, like $18 that she never cashed in. But they had to be from like 20 years ago. She probably forgot about them. I was like, oh my God.
You know what Marjorie?
I'm just going to say it.
You know what Marjorie has done? She got some like water bottles. You know, these big water bottles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, awesome.
And she put it in the kitchen. And every time she has some extra change, she throws it in there, and pennies. And I'm going, okay, that's fine, Marjorie. How do we lift this thing?
Yeah, you can't make it too heavy, Alex. Yeah.
No. I mean, no way. Of course, you can do it that way, but she's got it. There's too many of them now. You know.
You got to dump it in a thing. And
I can't even dump the thing sideways. It's so heavy.
Wow, you got a lot of money in there then. I used to do that with my mom. We used to go a little at a time.
Yeah.
Why don't you offer Tony to go over there and take the jug to the bank for them?
Just like my mother did. My mother used to get all excited. How much do we get? Oh, you got like $98 here. She used to go crazy.
Oh, I'm sure we got $1,000 in this goddamn water bottle.
Down. We can get some in.
And it only weighs 200 pounds in that bottle.
Yeah, and my question is, how do I get that to the bank?
Well, they have the change machine I used to use. I still use it when I save
That's
my change.
fine. I got to get it to the
point,
change.
Tony.
They have to take an Uber then, I'm guessing, Alex. No?
You
How are
could.
you gonna get it in the Uber, Tony?
How am I going to get it to the elevator for crying out
Yeah,
loud?
maybe? You got a book maybe?
You need to go to his house with a dolly. Bring a dolly over.
I was
Slide it
asking
on
about
there.
the superintendent. Can he help you carry it down?
Oh, boy. You don't understand. Do you know what these things feel like?
Oh, okay. Then maybe you had somebody strong in the building. Like, anybody have muscles in the building that could maybe help you?
What about you? Take some coffee and go over there, and you can do
I
it.
mean, I'm not that good a shape, but I can probably lift it. I used to be able to bench. About 250.
Listen, I got a problem with my back right now,
Okay.
which is not as bad until I try to lift something. Marjorie,
you'll throw your back.
Marjorie
Come on,
ordered two cases of her water. I can't remember the water she likes, but anyway, and they're the big bottles. And she left them out in the hall, and I had to lift them and bring them in. And my back doesn't act up until I have to lift something like that.
You're gonna need Ben Gay on the back later, tell her. That's what I used to do for my mom.
Ben Gay?
Like put like hot compress or something, and then put your.
I need heroin in there.
Okay. Oh, well, that might be really strong. Yeah. Heat's good though for that when the back spasms up.
What's heroin got to do with heat?
Well, yeah, that's true. That
Probably a good thing you don't do drugs.
Here's
how to do them.
Here's what I wondered at my age. If I'm in great pain, wouldn't heroin solve the problem?
I would imagine, wouldn't it numb it?
And
Alex?
at my age, what if I get hooked on heroin? You know? You know what I love about heroin people? I saw that documentary in San Francisco about the junkies and everything. Interesting, and I've often found this interesting. Junkies never fall.
Really?
Yeah, they always kind of stand there and then slowly go down to the ground. And as they get to a certain point where you think they're almost just going to fall out on the pavement, they stand right up.
Yeah, but junkies only last to 40 years old. You wouldn't make it.
True.
What? I die retroactively? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
You know.
all those drugs are certainly not good for you.
Well,
Why don't you ask the doctor for some rather muscle relaxer or a medium strength narcotic like
well,
Norco?
Marjorie has all those things. I can use hers. I do ibuprofen, which is
I'm
not.
talking about Norco. Norco will stop your back pain.
Oh, really? You giving medical advice again?
Uh-oh. You definitely...
There we go. I'm going to get another letter
It
from
works
them.
for me. I have a bottle of it right here prescribed by my
Oh,
doctor.
right now we got a drug dealer on the air. That's gonna be
No. We're not selling them. I'm not sending you any.
My doctor will give me anything. My doctor will
Tony's
give me
getting excited.
anything
He
I
wants them
want
now.
because they have a feeling at 83. If we give them heroin, it couldn't hurt. You know. I mean,
Why
how
don't you
much?
ask him for prescription grade fentanyl?
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure.
They use it when they do surgeries.
So one thing interesting about that special was when they show Willie Brown. Willie Brown was complaining about this homeless stuff, since the 90s, and nobody does anything. And like
You
I
want to
told
know
you
something? I'll tell you
last
something.
week,
I'll tell you something about that little shit, Willie Brown. Okay.
I met him. I took a picture with him.
Well, what happened was, I sat down. I went on the air one day in San Francisco. Was talking about the fact that, nobody ever listens to the homeless.
Mhm.
Nobody ever listens to their concerns. And I would love to have a town hall held in the square right out in front of the city hall with Willie Brown, who was then the mayor, and the homeless. And so we called his office, and he said, "Would you be willing to do a town hall with the homeless, and talk to them and listen to their problems?" Because I figured that nobody ever asked them directly what their problems are and what their needs are.
Mhm.
And so he said, the mayor says yes, he will be happy to appear and do a town hall. So we get all our equipment. In those days, when you did a remote, you had to haul in telephone lines and you had to do all kinds of things. But we went through it and we got it so we could do a remote from that plaza in front of the city hall.
City Hall.
And we get the homeless and they all show up and they're all waiting, and Willie Brown shows up about 20 minutes late, stays for 5 minutes, and then says, "Well, I got to get back to work." That wasn't what we were planning. We were planning on doing a town hall so you could listen to these people. And this guy who's sitting there in that documentary saying, "Oh, well, I always cared about the homeless and what we could do about them, and I wanted to listen to their needs." No, he didn't. He walked away, and I just went, "What is that all about?" So I had to hold the town hall myself, and say, "Hey, what do you think?" But I wanted the mayor to be there to hear it. And it was too important to be able to spend more than 5 minutes with us.
You
So
have a
don't sit
video
there
of
on that.
The Alex Bennett show on the streets of San Francisco.
Yeah, but don't tell me. Don't on that documentary. I looked over at Marjorie as we were watching, and I went, "What a lying sack of what? What lying sack of demonetization."
Lion sack of YouTube.
Lying sack of YouTube.
Yeah, you did it, Brian.
Yeah, you said the Y word. Yeah, but anyway, so I mean, that's the problem. They don't listen to the people. They'll talk a good talk. Oh, we got to do something for the homeless, but then they never do anything about it. And if they do something about it, it's not what the homeless need. It's some kind of thing they came up as an idea how to fix the problem from their perspective in life, and not the perspective of the very people they're trying to help.
Yeah, I agree. That the was one cop that I met, and he was San Jose cop. I mentioned this before, but San Jose PD. He worked in Oakland. He moved down here, so he transferred down here, and they had a big homeless program because we're talking about some of the homeless sites over here, and he said, "Yeah, San Jose is doing the same program that Oakland did, and it failed, and they're spending all this money." London Breed said what? She has said $500 million they have for the homeless. $500 million. How can you have that kind of money for homeless, and then there's nothing that is being seen?
Because it goes to all the wrong stuff. Yes, Alan.
I'll tell you how fucked up San Francisco is. So I go to, there used to be a 7-Eleven around the corner from where I live, and I used to on Saturday or Friday night go to the city and the homeless and the stuff, the market. And so I'd go to the 7-Eleven and buy sandwiches for $1 a piece that were going to expire in a couple hours, and they couldn't sell them. Perfectly good sandwiches. I'd take them out and hand them out to the homeless, and the cop stops me and says, there's an ordinance, and I could cite you on it, for a city ordinance for giving out food to the homeless. You give them food, they're going to stay here. I'm like, come on, give me a break. He says, if I see you out here again, I'm going to write you a ticket. It's a $25 ticket.
They were equating them to pigeons, weren't they?
I said to the cop, I said, I'll be here next Saturday. Look for me. I'll be wearing the same outfit. You won't have trouble finding me.
Oh my God, that's so
And he got in his car and he was pissed and he left. And next weekend, before I even got out of my van with the sandwiches, this very cop is circling the block waiting for me. I thought, screwed, I'm going to go a couple blocks over.
But what happens if you just put them on the street and walk away?
Oh, then you probably get a ticket for littering.
Littering? Yeah.
Yeah, San Francisco.
You should have told me you were a retired cop.
And I don't go into all that, Tony, because it's not really necessary. If I'm going to get a ticket, like for a moving violation or murder of somebody that lives in Queens that drinks too much coffee or something like that, then I do.
So Phil Meyer, you show the picture of him when he's young with the tiger. That gets me off all the time.
Yeah, that and the child molester card will get you a long ways, Phil Meyer.
Yeah.
A rent-a-cop.
They're going to throw the food out. You think it's the big deal?
Well, I mean, do you know how much food?
It expires in an hour.
Do you know how much food goes to waste every day?
I go to settle. I wonder what they do with all that food. And they just throw it.
I know.
Sometimes the homeless will sweep up around a restaurant at night. When the restaurant closes, they'll take leftovers that they didn't serve and give it to the homeless.
Wait a minute. Do they give them to the homeless? Wait a minute. I bet they don't give them to the homeless because they'll get a ticket and get charged for it.
Yeah, probably. San Francisco.
Yeah, that's sad.
A couple good friends of mine are retired. One's a retired lieutenant, and he says that's been on the books forever. Mm-hmm. He says it's so stupid, nobody enforces it.
Well,
you want to feed the homeless, go feed the homeless.
They're just some asshole cops.
Well,
they're everywhere.
Yep, absolutely. Well, let me start the theme here. I know you can't hear it. I don't know why. There's certain cuts here of music that I have that you can't hear, and the rest you can. So, anyway, that's about it for tonight. God, thank you so much. You know what's really strange? I was talking about how terrible it was that we had, so few people in the beginning. But we had more people listening to us tonight than we have all along.
Yeah, 46.
You were 40 up to 46. Yeah, I'm amazed by that.
They're listening to Brian.
Yeah, of course. Anyway, this has been a nice little gathering here. Tony all wired out on coffee.
I'm moving to
I hope if you're listening to YouTube, we're not being demonetized. There's no human being who listens to that stuff. It's all like
ChatGPT.
Yeah, right.
The software got up to date, and that's why you're being punished now.
Yes, right. Thanks, very much for being here tonight. I appreciate it, Alan. And the same to you, Brian. Always love having you here. Jeff.
No basketball, so I'm here for a while now.
Yeah, Jeff. You look great. It's always great to see your face here, and of course, Tony. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you. Okay, there they go. That's our citizen panel for tonight. We'll be back again. Well, first of all, let me say that Jack Bishop is next with The Intersection. He'll be taking your calls at Skype at Gabnet Live. I'll see you again tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody. Have a nice night.